Walter Payton was more than just a football player. He was a symbol of perseverance, strength, humility, and heart. Born on July 25, 1954, in Columbia, Mississippi, Walter Jerry Payton grew up in a time and place marked by racial division and limited opportunities for African Americans. Yet, from a young age, Walter stood out, not just for his athleticism, but for his kindness, creativity, and a relentless drive that would eventually make him one of the most revered figures in sports history. Walter was the youngest of 3 children. His father, Peter Payton, was a factory worker, and his mother, Aline, was a homemaker. Though his older brother, Eddie, would also go on to play in the NFL, it was Walter who captured the nation's imagination. At first, Walter wasn't even interested in football. He preferred playing drums in the school band, running track, and even singing in the choir. But in high school at Columbia High, he joined the football team partly to avoid overshadowing his brother and partly at the urging of the coach who saw potential in him. It didn't take long for Walter to make his mark. As a running back, he combined dazzling speed, brute strength, and unmatched determination. Despite standing just 5'10" and weighing 200 pounds, he played like a giant. His high school career earned him a scholarship to Jackson State University, a historically black college where his brother had also played. There, Walter became a local legend. Over 4 seasons, he rushed for over 3,500 yards and scored an incredible 66 touchdowns. He earned the nickname Sweetness, a moniker he claimed came from his smooth running style, though some say it was because of his personality. Either way, it stuck, and it suited him perfectly. By the time the 1975 NFL Draft arrived, Walter Payton was already a star in the making. The Chicago Bears, looking to rebuild their team, selected him as the 4th overall pick. The team was struggling, and Payton's early seasons were marked by frustration. He rushed for just 679 yards in his rookie season. But he never stopped working. He never stopped believing. He trained harder than anyone else, running up steep hills near his home, pushing his body to the limit, always chasing greatness. In 1977, everything came together. Payton rushed for 1,852 yards and 14 touchdowns, setting a new NFL record for most rushing yards in a single game, 275 yards against the Minnesota Vikings. Despite playing with a 101-degree fever, that year, he was named the NFL's most valuable player and Offensive Player of the Year. He had arrived. Over the next decade, Payton would dominate the league. He broke tackle after tackle, spun out of pileups, and leapt over defenders with his signature high-flying moves. He wasn't just fast or powerful, he was relentless. He played every down with passion, took pride in blocking and receiving, and never shied away from contact. He had a rare combination of grace and grit, and he led by example. But Walter Payton was more than his stats. He was the heart and soul of the Chicago Bears. He inspired teammates with his work ethic, his humility, and his constant smile. Coaches and players spoke of his quiet leadership, his refusal to boast, and his willingness to put the team above personal glory. While he continued to break records, including becoming the NFL's all-time leading rusher with 16,726 yards, he never lost sight of what mattered most: integrity, effort, and love for the game. In 1985, Payton finally achieved the ultimate goal, a Super Bowl victory. The Chicago Bears, led by a dominant defense and Payton's consistent brilliance, finished the season with a 15-1 record and steamrolled their way to Super Bowl 20. The game itself was a blowout. The Bears defeated the New England Patriots 46-10. But there was controversy. Despite his years of service and sacrifice, Payton didn't score a touchdown in the game, and Coach Mike Ditka later admitted it was one of his greatest regrets not making sure Walter got into the end zone. Still, Payton celebrated with his teammates, putting aside personal disappointment for the team's triumph. That was who he was. After the 1987 season, Walter Payton retired from the NFL. His final game was emotional, not just for Bears fans, but for football fans everywhere. He left the game with a staggering resume: 9 Pro Bowl selections, 5 All-Pro selections, and more than 21,000 total yards from scrimmage. At the time, he held records for career rushing yards, all-purpose yards, and rushing touchdowns. But even those numbers couldn't fully capture what he meant to the sport. Retirement didn't slow him down. Payton became a successful businessman, co-founding a NASCAR racing team, appearing in commercials, and staying active in charity work. One of his proudest accomplishments was the Walter and Connie Payton Foundation, which supported underprivileged children, veterans, and families in crisis. He remained a beloved figure in Chicago, where his legacy was as much about who he was off the field as on it. But in early 1999, the football world was shaken when Walter Payton made a heartbreaking announcement. He had been diagnosed with a rare liver disease called primary sclerosing cholangitis, which would later lead to bile duct cancer. The man who had seemed indestructible, who had powered through pain and adversity, was now facing something even he couldn't outrun. But Payton faced it with the same courage and grace he had shown throughout his life. He went public with his diagnosis, using it as a platform to raise awareness for organ donation. He appeared on television, frail but determined, asking people to consider becoming donors and helping save lives. In his final months, Payton's message was not one of despair, but of hope. He emphasized the importance of family, of compassion, of living with purpose. He didn't ask for pity. He asked people to act, to care, and to leave the world better than they found it. On November 1, 1999, Walter Payton passed away at the age of 45. His death sent shockwaves through the sports world and beyond. He was mourned not just as a football legend, but as a hero. The tributes poured in. Fans gathered outside Soldier Field, leaving flowers, notes, and memorabilia. The NFL honored him by renaming its prestigious Man of the Year award, the honor given to a player for excellence on and off the field, as the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award. That title lives on today, reminding every player in the league of the example Walter set. He wasn't just about touchdowns and yards. He was about giving everything he had, treating people with kindness, and lifting others up along the way. To this day, Walter Payton is remembered as one of the greatest running backs to ever play the game. But more than that, he's remembered as a man of rare character and enduring spirit. His nickname, Sweetness, captured more than just his playing style. It captured his essence. He showed the world that greatness is not just about talent, but about heart, humility, and the will to never give up. Even now, decades after his final game, Walter Payton's influence can be felt. His story is told to young athletes as a model of determination and class. His records may be broken, but his legacy remains unshakable. He proved that you don't have to be loud to lead, that real strength is quiet, consistent, and compassionate. He showed us that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear a number 34 jersey and run with everything they've got, not for themselves, but for their team, their fans, and their dreams. Walter Payton lived his life by a simple code: never die easy. He believed in finishing strong, in fighting through pain, and in leaving everything on the field. He didn't believe in stepping out of bounds to avoid a hit. He believed in facing the challenge head-on, with dignity and courage. That philosophy didn't end when his football career did. It carried him through his final days and continues to inspire generations today. His son, Jarrett Payton, has carried on his father's legacy, both through charitable work and in sharing Walter's story with the world. Through every story, every highlight reel, and every award named in his honor, Walter Payton's spirit lives on. He remains a guiding light in the history of the game, and in the hearts of those who watched him play, admired his strength, and were touched by his humanity. Walter Payton wasn't just the best of football, he was the best of us. And in remembering him, we remember the power of perseverance, the importance of humility, and the lasting impact of living a life full of heart. His legacy reminds us to chase greatness not just in what we do, but in how we treat others and how we face adversity. That's what makes him unforgettable. That's what makes him eternal. That's why, all these years later, we still remember Sweetness, with awe, with respect, and with love.